Hey, good morning. My name is Rhett Owens. I am a partner and one of the founding members of Bodewell Legal Group. We are a personal injury law firm based here in Birmingham, Alabama. A lot of people in my life have asked me why I represent people that have been injured now, as opposed to representing the companies that have been alleged to have injured these people or defendants. And a large part of it is relating to a case in which I was involved in 2021 that really changed the way that I view the personal injury game, as it would be. So that case involved the death of a young man, and I represented an emergency services provider who responded to the scene of this individual collapsing, and they were charged with not having a piece of necessary equipment. It was interesting because clearly the fact that my client did not have this piece of equipment was something that I was seriously concerned about as it related to the possibility that they would just get rung up by a jury in the small county in which this case was pending. On the other hand, there was some damn good medical testimony as to the fact that it didn't matter what equipment my client did or did not have. This individual had been down long enough where he was not going to recover. And so I was in a case where, on the one hand, you had a person that had died being represented by a fantastic plaintiff's law firm, personal injury law firm here in Alabama. And they were going to try to ring up my client. In other words, get the maximum value that they could from a jury verdict as a result of this trial. And on the other hand, I had my client and their insurance company who was funding my fees, paying for my services. And they were saying, I don't give a damn what this guy says. None of this would have mattered because this individual was already dead by the time that my client showed up on the scene. So it was a really difficult situation. And ultimately, there were probably 30 plus depositions that were taken. There were probably 6 or 7 expert witnesses who were retained and deposed in the case. And we got about 2 weeks away from trial before that case ultimately settled for an amount which could have been paid a year and a half earlier and resolved the case. And so what it brought to my mind was the fact that I just didn't feel as if the insurance company in that case was doing what was right. Put aside the individual that died and his family. My client had paid huge premiums over an extended period of time to this insurance company. And as the attorney retained to represent my client, I was advising the insurance company, this case is dangerous. If we go in front of a jury and they award the damages that are going to be requested by the family of this individual who died, my client is out of business. And yet, time and time again, that advice was not followed until it was followed after hundreds of thousands of dollars had been spent in legal fees in order to litigate the case. And during the time that I took off after that case had finished to run it through my mind, I really just got to a point where I just felt as if the insurance company was not doing the right thing. Again, not only because of the interests of the individual and his family that had died, but also my client. My client had an interest in having the insurance company do what they had been paid to do, which is pay out an amount to settle a really dangerous case. And so when I got presented with this opportunity to found this law firm, I just felt much more comfortable in the position of representing people who have been injured against the enormous multinational insurance companies who are funding the defense of the claims that my clients now bring against the businesses and individuals who have injured them. Because it's really important for you to know that Joe Blow Incorporated, who hired a driver and had a van that hit you at a stoplight and put you in the hospital, when you file a lawsuit against Joe Blow Incorporated, you're not taking money in 95% of cases out of their bank account. Instead, they have an insurance policy which they have paid for. Believe me, they have paid for it over the course of a number of years, and they are entitled to a certain amount of coverage from these insurance companies. But the sad state of affairs is that these insurance companies will do everything in their power to avoid paying out on these policies. It's their business model. They need to take in more premiums than they pay out. And as a result of that, they fight tooth and nail to deny their insureds, Joe Blow Incorporated, from the coverage that they have paid for. So if you've been injured, what you're going to get from our law firm are attorneys that know that game backwards and forwards. And they know it not only from the side of having represented injured persons, but from the side of having represented insurance companies and their companies they insure. So if you're injured, give us a call. We're going to take a look at your case, and we're going to tell you whether or not it's something worth pursuing. And if it is, you're not going to pay us a single red penny until we recover for you.